Let me say this clearly. If you keep setting goals with no consequences, you are lying to yourself. And today we're ending that concept because I just made a pledge. And if I don't hit my goal, I'm going to punish myself on purpose. So stay with me because this might be the only reason you may actually follow through with your goals, especially now that it's the new year. All right, so welcome to the Main Allure podcast. I am your host, Laura, and in today's episode, we're going to get a little uncomfortable because your goals don't take you seriously. Why would they? I mean, every time you say, I'm going to start on Monday, I'm going to do it next week, I'm just going to need a little bit more time, then what happens? You actually don't follow through. And so your brain clocks it and it learns that you don't really mean what you say. You're not reliable. And it learns to stop showing up. That's not a motivation issue. It's more of a credibility problem. The truth is that nobody wants to admit that you're not really scared of failure when you do this. You're actually scared of being uncomfortable because that comfort has zero urgency. There's no pressure. There's no tension. There's really no reason to do anything. There's no reason to move on. But when you have a little bit of pressure, it creates focus. Pressure turns that someday, that eventually into today. And that's why we're adding a little bit of consequence so that we could keep ourselves accountable. And so a pledge isn't really a cute affirmation. A pledge is more about looking yourself in the mirror and saying to yourself, hey, if I don't do this, I'm going to have to pay for it. And this time it won't be emotionally. You're not going to be kicking yourself, throwing a pity party because you didn't achieve what you wanted. And it's not about guilt. It's going to be something that stings just enough to make you act, to make you get up and do something. So money, embarrassment, inconvenience, these are things that may actually force you to consider what that looks like. So you're going to have to pick your poison because your future self is counting on you to stop playing nice. So let me help you choose wisely. If the consequence makes you say, that's fine, I'll live with it, it's probably useless. Think of the times in which you have set, for example, resolutions. The beginning of the year, we always talk about what we're going to do. We're going to lose weight. We're going to go back to school. We're going to do whatever, right? But in the end, when you do this, there's nobody really there to hold you accountable. I don't know if you remember this movie called The Adjustment Bureau, and I absolutely love the movie because it's a really interesting concept, and it's something that I think some of us think happens. It's about destiny, whether it's pre-planned or whether it is something that we decide on our own, right? And in this movie, Matt Damon is always, he has his life to live. And then as soon as he's veering differently into a new direction, these guys in suits all of a sudden come out and start forcing him to go back to what the original plan was. It's a great movie. I highly recommend you watch it. I think it would actually be wonderful to have someone or at least a group of guys in suits to actually come out anytime that we're veering away from our plans and say, hey, you want to be a millionaire by the time you're 45? Well, guess what? You're veering away from that. So let's get you back to the original plan. But of course, we don't have that. We have to hold ourselves accountable and, make it work the best way that we can. But the idea is the right consequence will make you say, oh, hell no, I'm getting this done. So that's when discipline kicks in. And it's not going to be because you're inspired or anything like that. It's more because you're actually feeling cornered and pressured into doing it. And listen, this isn't self-hate. This is more about self-leadership, self-accountability. It's about keeping your word and more about self-respect. You're keeping yourself accountable because this is something that's going to be good for you. And so the plot twist is that a real reward isn't necessarily the goal itself. The goal is becoming the person that keeps their word. And so think about how powerful that is, because eventually, with time, you're going to start to realize that, hey, this is something that I could do all of the time. As soon as you understand that are the person that's going to keep your word to yourself, right? I think sometimes we're really good at keeping the word for other people, right? But when it comes to ourselves, we tend to be a little bit more lenient, and that's not what we should be doing. When you trust yourself, everything changes. You stop negotiating, you stop procrastinating, you stop doubting yourself because you know that you're not going to fold, you're not going to hesitate, you're not going to quit. And there's no hiding here. So think of that one goal that you've been avoiding because it actually matters. And I know it could be scary, it could be petrifying, it may be debilitating because it's something that's, it's a goal that you've been trying to reach. But remember that if the goal has to be attainable and at the same time worthwhile, we're not going to say, I'm going to lose 200 pounds in 3 months, right? It's not how it works. Like, we need to give ourselves some grace and understand, like, what is the thing that I can achieve in the set amount of time that I'm giving myself? Is it going to be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months? The point is that you have to think about what you want. And I'm hoping that you're thinking about it as I've been talking through all of these minutes. But what I'm hoping to do is allow you to make a pledge right now so that you can keep yourself accountable. That is the goal. We're changing and we're shifting our mindset into thinking about resolutions. And now we're going to focus on making a pledge to ourselves. And here's the pledge. So I hope you're ready. Get a pen and paper, or you want to say it out loud with me if you already have a goal in mind. All right, say it with me now. I pledge that by blank date, so think about how long you're going to give yourself to achieve this pledge, I will blank. And so this is a specific action that you want to take. If I don't, the consequence will be blank. For example, I pledge that by June of 2026, I will be in the best shape of my life. Okay? And if I don't, the consequence will be I'm going to punish myself and I won't be able to order takeout for 3 months. And trust me, for me, that's a big goal because I love getting takeout once in a while. The important thing is that these resolutions/goals should be things that you actually care about, that are meaningful to you, that are going to be impactful to you. And one of them could be creating a new income stream, creating a way to make some extra money. You can also try to become physically strong, finding new workout routines, a way to incorporate, walking a little more every day. It can also look like mastering some form of discipline that you perhaps have been, maybe you've been neglecting for a while. Do you play piano? Do you crochet? Whatever it is that you like to do, and maybe you've been neglecting that and you want to get back into the fun part of it, just get right to it. You can start creating your own inner circle. I know for a lot of us, especially after COVID and the whole idea of getting comfortable with isolation, which is not really good for our health, for our well-being, many of us have become more hermit-like than we would want. And so maybe it's the time now to start looking for more friends, to expand your network, to look for ways to become a better friend, a better companion. It doesn't have to be anything drastic, but these are little things that you can start incorporating into your life as a goal so you can start becoming better, not only for yourself, but for others. One thing that you can also consider is finding ways to nurture your mental health. I know that a lot of times we think that we also have to be very strong. We need to just suck it up and not feel. Sometimes we think that we just have to suck things up and not handle things the way that society expects us to. Well, maybe this is the time to consider what it is that you want to improve in terms of your health, especially your mental health. If you're dealing with a lot of stress, if you feel like you're overworked, underwhelmed, think of how you can better yourself so that you don't feel isolated or alone. You can also try learning a high-value skill. Look for things that you could create instead of consuming, things that you can provide for others, things that you can build, painting your house, whatever it is. Look for things that you can make a goal for the year and then take that on, learn it, master it if you can. And then before you know it, you're going to go through the end of the year and you're going to realize how much you've actually achieved. And then at the same time, ensure that you add a consequence if you don't, so that you hold yourself accountable, so that you are looking at your achievements, your progress through anything that you're learning as something that means so much more to you because you've actually dedicated time, effort, and as a result, you avoided paying for the consequence that you so much wanted to avoid. Stick to your pledge, say it like you mean it, because your nervous system just heard it and it's going to hold you accountable. And if you need to, repeat it to yourself over and over until it makes sense. Because now your nervous system knows there are actual consequences that will take place if you don't achieve it. Now, one thing that I recommend, because yes, you could have all the pledges in the world and all the consequences, but remember that the point is to keep your word. Now, if you feel that it is difficult for you to stick to your word, which I hope I'm not because you listen to my podcast, but if you feel that's hard for you, maybe bring somebody else along. Grab a buddy, your significant other. Maybe if you're in a group chat, tell, everybody in the group to make a pledge with you, and they can make pledges to whatever they want. But my point is, if that's more helpful to you, do that. If your goal is to run 10K marathon in the next 3 months, and now you're you're hoping to keep your word by, you're going to have to train and do all these things, maybe the best idea would be to bring somebody else along. But they will also realize that there are consequences tied to this pledge that you've made. If you can't think of a consequence, think of something that you would really hate to do, right? It has to be something that you would absolutely hate to to have to do. Maybe you have to donate to a charity that you hate. Think of something that you absolutely do not want to do, and believe me, that will keep you accountable. It will keep you on your toes, and it will be so much easier to keep your word. This is your warning and your invitation that you can keep setting goals that feel good to you, or you can make one that changes you. You get to make that decision. And you don't need more motivation. What you need is a standard. What you need is a boundary that keeps you in line with the things that you want, right? And making sure that you're actually respecting yourself by keeping your word. And so, starting today, your word means something again. It means that you're taking yourself seriously, that you are on your way to achieving things that you probably didn't think you could, as long as you know that there is a consequence in not achieving it. And that is going to make you and hopefully shift your mindset into believing in yourself, into believing that you can do something that you really want to achieve. From this point on, okay, I'm hoping and I would love to hear where you are, what is the pledge that you're making. Please send me your thoughts, leave a comment, tell me your ideas. What is it that you want to pledge? It could be anything, there's no, you don't have to do anything drastic or extremely amazing. Whatever it is, you can start small. All right. See you on the other side of the pledge. And thank you again for listening to the Manilor podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you feel that there's someone out there who would benefit from starting this pledge, please go ahead and share it with them. It would be actually amazing to see you guys do this together. So get to it. So until next time, take care of yourself. Bye.